Ladies and
Cool
gentlemen,
beans.
Pam Petrie, today's guest. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction, tee it up a little bit on why I'm so excited to talk to you. So for anybody listening, Pam owns the True Western Roundup, which is Durango's weekly summer rodeo series.
Correct.
And it is a great time. It's a ton of fun. It's one of my favorite things about living in Durango, and the work we get to do together with it is a great time. But the reason I'm so excited to talk to you is we've worked together for a few years now on on different levels with the series, and I've seen you kind of expand it, evolve it, bring in outside shows, bring it back, and I've seen these evolutions. But one thing has stayed very, very consistent, and it's what has got me so excited about this conversation, and it's your passion. It's your excitement that you bring to it. And and I see it conveyed in so many different ways. So I see the passion that you bring to the rodeo. I see the passion that you bring to, preserving Western heritage 8 seconds at a time, I think is the tagline.
That's right.
But I also see your passion that you bring to your sponsors and the community and the fans and the audience and all of that stuff. And that passion is why I'm so excited to talk to you and to pick your brain.
Yeah.
To start us off, do you mind, because I recall, and I don't know the details of it, but I recall a story of when you sort of took it over, that at one point you weren't the owner, and I think maybe you were the manager or something, but do you mind walk me through, how did you become?
Okay. I love this story.
Perfect.
I love it because it's grassroots, Ben. And first of all, thank you, Ben, for having me on your show today. I'm just so thrilled to be here. But, True Western Roundup started 11 years ago. A gentleman in the community, Al Harper, who owns the Durango Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad, founded. It was originally called True West Rodeo. He founded it to bring Western heritage to town. I started in the ticket booth. I was that little gal that was like, I'll work just to be able to get in free. That's all I cared about. And I was so excited to be a part of it. And so that evolved. I started in the ticket booth. I've worked every stage in that event that there is to work. I eventually managed it for several years for Mr. Harper. And as I managed it, I grew it. And I thought it was super successful. Al was really happy. COVID came along, and I had always said, I want to take this. I want to run with this. And Al looked at me and said, I'm going to give you the reins, so to speak. You've got this under control. And he was happy to pass it on to me, and I'm just thrilled that he trusted me with his baby. And really, it is my passion. You're right. It's my passion. Western events, Western heritage. Community is my passion. Supporting small local business or national corps, but supporting business is my passion. Human and animal athletes. It's all wrapped up into producing fun events. And as an event planner, an event producer, event promoter, it's a lot of fun. It really is. And it's right in the vein of, I grew up in Western Kansas. My family farms dryland wheat, and I had a horse, and we rode on country roads, and so it's been a part of me since I was just little.
Has the business ownership side of it been a part of you forever, or has it been more? Because I've had many of these conversations now, and one of the things I'm been curious about with people is, we're attracted to different things for different reasons. Some people, I think, start businesses because they want to be entrepreneurs, and the thing is what it is.
Right.
Others, I think, sometimes pursue their passion and end up, an entrepreneur. What does your path look like? And maybe to help clarify that too, that question, and also what you were doing before your involvement in the rodeo.
I have always been entrepreneurial minded, always been. I've always worked for Chambers of Commerce. I worked for the Durango Business Improvement District for 9 years. I've always supported business and tried to promote and drive traffic to the doors of these businesses in our community. And so that was the start of it all. That's where my mindset goes. I've always used the term working with people. I've never worked for anyone. Even if they wrote me a paycheck, I don't work for people. I work with people.
Yeah.
And that particular vocabulary has stayed with me all my life. Now I have people working with me, and not for me, but with me.
Yeah,
And I'm
I love
very
that.
careful about that word choice because it's important. We're a team, and you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with.
Right.
So
So
yeah,
you
that's
feel
my.
like you've had the entrepreneurial kind of drive and spirit, and there's obviously, I don't know, a love for local small businesses, which I want to dive into a little bit. But then did you find your love for event promotion? And do you feel like that's
Well,
specific to the rodeo side of it? Or how did those worlds kind of collide? Because I feel
honest,
like it was kind of risky to take it over.
honestly, the root of me is I'm a mother. I have 4 beautiful children that I've raised, and I feel I'm very proud of them. And I've always been involved in their lives, in their activities. I've always been the coach or the manager. I'm not just the parent that sits in the stands.
Always involved.
I've always been there. And so I've always, I've got a degree in economics from CSU. I've got with a minor in marketing. So I've got that
That's
professional
funny.
background.
I have the opposite. A
Do you?
degree in marketing and a minor in economics.
That's why we get along.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got that, but just kind of working through being that mom. And actually, I'll give a shout out to another gentleman in town, Jasper Welch. He always said he would hire a mom any day because mothers are the best multitaskers.
Isn't that the truth?
So I've loved that he said that to me once. And, I am a good multitasker. I get things done. So that's where it started, was just around my kids' activities. And then I loved it when I had the opportunity to work with True Western Roundup and bridge my heritage, my youth, my upgrowing with horses and farm agriculture. It's so important. And bridge that with my event planning background. And so now I'm doing the events that I love and that I'm so passionate about.
Does it feel like work?
No, never.
Yeah. And that's one of the coolest things it's so, the passion that you have is so infectious. And I think I mentioned it early on, but that's why I've been so excited to pick your brain, because it's pretty uncommon to see somebody. I mean, I think I share a similar level of passion, with my work, but there's not a ton of people that, you're around them and you can just tell that they love what they do. And I know how much work goes into it. I mean, I've seen you out there, late into the night, early mornings. I mean, you name it. I mean, we have meetings about the summer series in the dead of winter.
And I'll say I've worked every position at the rodeo arena. I have. I've served beer. I've schlepped bags of ice. I've sold tickets. I've hung banners. I'm there taking the banners down at the end of the night. So I've done it all, and I'm not afraid to jump in. And I don't try to get in the front, but if I see a long line, I'll jump in the back and I'll bar back my folks, and I'll help them because, again, we're a team.
Do you think that that's contributed to the success? Like, do you feel like if you didn't have the experience and the knowledge of all of the interworkings, that, if you would have just come in from the outside and been the event coordinator, whatever the title, but, somebody just running the whole show, that you could have been as successful as you are?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't want to say anybody can do anything they want to. I've wanted to do this. I take this on. I don't punch a clock. I get up, I get after it every day. 12 months a year, I work this event. And when people say, everything they look at it and it comes together so well. Well, that's because what you don't see is me working November, December, January, February, March, and then event season comes and you're in full production mode. But there's a lot of planning in those off months.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of curious because I don't know this for sure, but I've grown up going to rodeos. I mean, my kids mutt and bust at your rodeos. I mean, we're very much involved in the entertainment aspect of it, the culture aspect of it, all those things. So I don't have the perspective. I guess what I'm getting at is I have a similar background to you of where the Western culture side of it has been all I've ever known. I've only lived in the West and gone to rodeos. And I know that True Western Roundup attracts a lot of tourists and things like that. What I'm curious about is, and maybe maybe you don't, but just generally speaking, is the rodeo industry growing? Is it in decline? I mean, from a holistic perspective.
I think as a holistic perspective, we're growing. Western heritage, Western culture, agriculture. People are more, what's the word? interested in where their food comes from. They're more interested in ranch life and sustainable farming. Those kind of things play into what we're doing, and it creates a curiosity.
Yeah.
And every event at a rodeo comes from original ranch work. We were roping cattle to doctor them, to medicate them, and take care of them. You don't find a better steward of the land than a farmer or a rancher.
Right.
You really don't. These guys, they depend on their land, and they take good care of their land. They're feeding America, whether it be crops or cattle and beef or chickens or whatever it is that they're supplying to our food source. And I love that people are finally realizing where their food's coming from.
Yeah, which is fascinating. And I wonder, it makes me wonder that, like the larger sentiment on rodeos in general. I don't know if you remember or not, but I think it was 2 years ago, we had one of our sales reps in from North Carolina. Great guy. His name's Neil Mosley. Shout out to Neil. He doesn't work for us anymore, but he's amazing. But this was his first time in the West in general. So we were like joking with him. Like I was giving him a hard time about our bear-proof trash cans and, these little things.
Sure.
But he came in. But I think the one that he came to was the variety show, was by just coincidence how it worked out. But he got some good exposure to it. And it was fun for me to kind of see his absorption of the event and the culture and things like that. Do you ever get feedback from tourists? I would just love to hear, like, I'd be a fly on the wall of, the carload of tourists that are on the way back afterwards. What's the overall feedback? What's the sentiment?
We work really hard, and my team, we work so hard to provide a family-friendly, really energetic, fun experience. It's an experience. When you pay dollars to come in and be entertained, you want to be entertained. So we are a production company. We start on time. We roll through it. We have things on a schedule, and we end on time. And about 2/3 of our audience is tourists.
Oh, interesting.
And about 1/3 is local. And I've worked really hard the last few years to the tourists are here naturally. They're looking for something to do. They come on in. I've worked really hard to give the locals something to feel welcome at. Come on out, locals. Come down, have a cold soda pop or a cold beer with your neighbor. Catch up with your neighbor. This is the social place to be every Wednesday night in town. And so I just want locals to know they're welcome, and we always have season passes and discounts for locals. You just need to ask when you hit the front ticket desk.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you refer to it as a production company. I'd imagine normal production has way less variables because you're dealing with animals.
Sure.
And, these things. Does that present complications, or do you plan for that in advance? I'm thinking of more of a Broadway type production where you can talk to the people and have that handled. You can't tell the bull to behave or whatever. How does that make running a production, which what an interesting way to, I've never thought of it like that, but that makes a ton of sense. Does that bring complications?
When I say production, I guess I'm talking about what I can control.
Ah.
And certainly I cannot control the animals, although they are bred to buck or run or whatever they're bred to do. These are high athletes. These animals are fed much better than some of our kids. They're just animal athletes. So even the rough stock events, which is bucking horses and bucking bulls, those animals are bred to buck. And then you've got timed events like barrel racing, team roping, tie down. That's where you're running against the clock. Again, those animals, they are very well taken care of. So I don't control a lot of that, but I can control what time we start. I can control that my staff has smiles on their faces, that we have cold sodas and cold beers chilled and ready to go, that we have really good vendors, and we do. I make sure that we have a good variety of food and snacks for our guests to enjoy, as well as retail shopping experience. We have a full vendor row, and that's part of the experience too. So I can control those things. I can make sure that all of our sponsors are thanked and appreciated and feel loved. And I love working with you, and you talk about your boys coming and mutton busting. That's awesome. And I love that. I've always been a people person, and so I like the relationships, and I can control those.
Yeah.
The relationships I have with my staff and my sponsors and my contractors that I hire to come in. I'm really proud of the team that we have built and continue to build.
Yeah. How do you, because it seems to me like those relationships, whether it's sponsors, vendors, the announcer. I mean, who know? The contractors. It seems to me like it's pretty intentional from your end of
Absolutely.
Who's involved. How do you decide? And kind of what are your parameters? Because I feel like you've got to make money. So sponsorships and vendors and all those things matter, but you also have to protect the experience and the culture and stuff. How do you balance that?
Gosh, that's a good question. I mean, it's my mantra. I tell people it's like when you go to Disneyland. Do you want to walk in and have somebody having a bad day greet you? No. We have got to intentionally have smiles on our faces, be welcoming, be inviting, be inclusive, to anybody that walks into our gate.
Even the security guards are friendly.
I know. We love shout out to Durango Protection Services. They're wonderful, aren't they? Yeah. We're a team. We really, really are. And, there's a lot of controversy about music and different things that are going on right now. A lot of people want to be a cowboy that maybe aren't a cowboy. I don't care.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. If you're interested, come on out. I don't care if you wear what hat you wear or what color your hair is, or come on out and let's have fun together.
I love that. Is that a Pam-ism or is that a I don't know, kind of evolution of the Western culture in general? It's that idea of inclusivity.
It's definitely a Pamism.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I work every day to show that we should all be doing that. All of us, on every level, in every aspect of life. We should be more understanding. We have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Let's use them. Let's share. And I think we all have more in common than not if we would just sit down and listen.
I love that.
Yeah.
What a refreshing perspective, because and I couldn't agree more. Just yesterday, I was talking to Trevor Bird from Durango Harley, and one of the things I mentioned to him was, I had a misconception of Harley Davidson culture. It seemed so scary or intimidating, and then you get to know them and you go to film the events and they're raising money for all these great things. That from the Western side of it, I think that's an important thing to remember, that we're more alike than not. And, regardless of background or where you're from or whatever, to your point, everybody come and have fun. It's supposed to be fun. I'm curious, where does that come from? Like, how did you, because I can tell that you sincerely believe that there's, that you truly want everyone to have a good time and experience it. It seems to me that that's more than just a business philosophy.
Well, it's just, if you're going to walk through life, let's have some fun while we walk through life. Our days are short and numbered, and I don't want to waste them. So we need to be having fun.
What about the inclusivity piece of it, though?
Again, it's my experiences, I guess, in life. And I did went through Leadership La Plata, learned a lot about diversity and culture through that program, another good program we have here locally to get yourself involved in. It's important. It's just important.
Isn't it? I mean, I'm hung up on that a little bit because I think it is. There's an argument that it's the most important thing, that we're all in this whole thing together, life. And what an interesting thing to consider that a rodeo could be a space for that.
Yeah. I'll give you one example. Last year, we brought the San Juan Symphony into the arena. They came in pressed denim, white shirts. They played. We had live music. It was beautiful with a trick riding group, the Riata Cowboy Cowgirls.
How cool.
Came to town, and they did synchronized trick riding to the symphony. To me, that gets my creative side going.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved scripting that and deciding what music we were going to play. It was big Western themed music by a live orchestra. And I love bringing those two groups of people together because, again, we have more in common than we don't.
Yeah.
If you like good music, good live big music, and you like horses, what a beautiful night that was. It really was, all with the exception that in all 11 years we've never lost power, and we lost power that night. So we were in the black for a little bit, but in the dark, because we did lose power.
Literally,
but,
yeah.
But that was really one of my favorite things.
That brings up an interesting a curiosity of mine is, an idea of adversity or things going wrong or, whatever it might be. And it sounds like you took over shortly after the pandemic, right?
Correct.
So my timelines are correct. One of the things that I've been realizing with all of these conversations with business owners and, things like that is there's always a challenge to overcome, always, adversities. I'd love to hear, because it seems like you've got, and, you and I share very similar personality traits. And so I know that it's not always, sunshine and rainbows and all that great stuff, but it does seem like you view things with a very optimistic outlook. My curiosity is when it comes to the inevitable adversity, challenge that you're going to overcome, power outage, pandemic, whatever, what is your approach to problem solving and, from a business perspective and keeping the show going and all that?
All you can do is be honest with people. We had a power outage. Now we're going to pivot and we're going to do that. And you've got to be able to have a good team around you to consult with and do your best you can do with the resources you have. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah. And just know that the best you can do is the best my grandpa, so my grandpa passed away actually during the pandemic in 2020. Okay. But he used to always say, all you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. And
I love it.
We've got it on a plate in our kitchen, and we remind ourselves of that all of the time.
It's so true, and I love it. And then if for some reason you fail in someone's eyes, the only thing you can do is say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened. And usually I feel the same way as the person complaining. Like, I'm really sorry that went wrong and that happened. But this is what we did, and we just keep moving forward. Because what are you going to do? Lay down and cry?
Right.
No, I don't.
That's not going to help.
You can cry a little bit, but then get up and keep going.
Yeah, well, I think, we learn early on, especially as business owners, that no one's coming to rescue you.
No.
We have to figure it out and, cry for a minute to get our bearings about us. And then one of the things I'm curious about, too, that has stood out to me for the last few years that we've worked together, but at every event, you do a donation type thing, and I'm sorry that I'm butchering it, but you literally give money to a different organization. Curious on a few different levels. First is just why? Why is that important? And second, how are you choosing where you're wanting to make an impact and things like that? But most importantly, why? Why the desire to give back?
I'm glad you asked. I'm really glad you asked because why is because that's who I am. We live, work, and play in this community all together, and we have to support each other. I feel like I want to support each other, and people have supported me when I've needed help. So it's important that be a full circle. And the way we identify, we have 10 events. We have 10 different nonprofits that we
and they're always
support.
Nonprofits?
Not always, but most of the time.
But
somebody
good causes.
Somebody in need. Absolutely. And there's some that are staples that we give to every year. Every year I give to the La Plata County 4-H group. That's important to me. And then I've got a committee that we kind of sit down and say, what do we want to do this year? Who do we want to support this year? And so I think it's the right thing to do.
Why?
That's why. It's the right thing to do, to support each other. We live and work, play together. And I like the work that these nonprofits are doing, so my donation helps them with their work.
Yeah. It seems though like I'll call it even a top priority for you. And I want to hear more about that. Why? Because it almost seems like a non-negotiable. And I don't know that, but just from, my
we've
my
had tough
impression.
years when that would have been an easy line item to strike.
Exactly what I'm getting at.
Yeah. And we just can't. I believe in karma too, I guess. And I want to continue to do what's right. And that's right.
Is it your belief in continuing to do what's right? Is that because, does that come from a ethical place, from a, believing that it'll benefit the business long term? Do you get fulfillment out of it? What? Help me understand the significance of keeping that such a high priority.
Believing that it'll benefit me long term is karma. Yes, these things all come back. Things come around. And when you give is when you receive. I've always known that from being raised in the church. You know, you should be giving, and then you will receive.
We've got a philosophy here. I've probably shared it with you before, but we say it's giver's gain.
Okay.
It's basically the idea that, you know, the more we pour into others, the more they'll pour into us. We help businesses grow, we'll grow, that type of thing. So I subscribe to that in a huge way.
And we lead by example too. I have become acutely aware recently, and I don't know why I never thought of this, but how others are looking at me now in the position I'm in. I'm just Pam. I've just always been just Pam. I'm nobody special. I work hard. I'm blue collar. I work hard. And all of a sudden I'm seeing people thanking me for this or thanking me for that or acknowledging things. And I thought, oh, people are looking at me. So I could almost cry, because it's important that we do for this next generation what somebody probably did for us when we were young. And all of a sudden I'm realizing I became that person, and I didn't know I was even that old to be that person.
All of a sudden people are looking up to you.
Honestly, especially at my royalty program. I love the royalty program. I really do. People will sometimes ask me, what's your favorite event at the rodeo? And I'll say, opening ceremony. It's the opening ceremony. It's so patriotic. It's so beautiful. Those young ladies and their horsemanship skills and their beautiful smiles and those beautiful flags flying, it's my favorite event.
What does it feel like to know that, you know, you've kind of got people looking up to you, but you also kind of have, you know, I mean, you're, especially in the summertime, you're a little bit of a local celebrity. You know, you come to the, it's cool. I'm curious, you know, from your perspective, what does that bring with it? What does it feel like? You know, or does it feel pressure? Do you feel proud? Is it exciting? Is it a combination of it all? What, when you hear these things of like that people are looking up to you, what emotions does that bring?
Gratification. I don't stress about it, or I don't feel pressure about it, because I know what my heart intention is, and it's good.
Because you've just been being you all along.
I've just been being me. And who me is I work hard. I try to have a smile on my face. I try to always think of the other person first. And, you know, if something didn't go right, I'll always ask before I just assume or accuse. You should ask. And I'll always doubt myself first. Maybe I missed the ball. Maybe I didn't relay that correctly, that message that I wanted done correctly. You know, so you got me.
Does it feel surreal? I mean, is it weird?
I guess I am at a point in life where it's feeling weird that I'm at this point in life. Like, how did I get here?
Did you ever think you'd be here? Is this where you wanted to be?
Well, yeah, I wanted to live a long, happy, successful life, and I'm doing it. Yeah, how's that?
How cool. Isn't that
yeah,
cool?
and I've raised 4 really good kids, and number one, I'm so proud of them, honestly. All 4 of them are doing good things in the world, and that's all you can actually control is your here and your now. That's what you can control. And I did a good job with them, and I'm trying to do a good job now with what I can control, which is my True Western Roundup family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I can see it in your, I can see the.
I'm trying not to cry.
It's powerful. It's cool. I'm curious, because it seems like obviously a very strong background in, I'll call it production management, but, you know, managing the shows and, you know, rodeos and all of that stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe your first venture into business ownership with True Western Roundup and things like that. What's the learning curve been like from a business ownership perspective versus a, you know, putting on the show perspective? Because we have similar timelines, and, you know, I haven't learned a ton about marketing in the last few years, but I've learned a ton about business ownership in the last few years. And I'm just kind of curious how that, you know, because once you started wearing that hat, how did it change things?
Well, the first thing I did was hire a bookkeeper.
It kind of matters.
I know. I'm a planner, and I like things. I like my ducks all in a nice, neat row, and I am, you know, always ahead of. I can handle a fire if I have to, but I don't like to work in the fire. You know, so I'm very strategic in my decision making, and the first thing I did was realize I need somebody to keep my book straight.
Yeah.
I can manage the event, I can produce that, but and also having a good team. I have a really good team of people that I surround myself with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
And I'll give a shout out to J.W. Kinder, our announcer. He's been with us all 11 years. He is fantastic in that announcer's booth. He knows how to entertain the crowd. He knows how to stroke the sponsors. He knows how to talk about the sport and the activities that are going on in the arena. And he's been a huge key to my success, honestly. And I would be remiss if I didn't include my husband, of course. He's right there with me. He's the guy at night when I'm bouncing ideas off somebody. It's Danny. It's, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And should we do this? What do you, and he's my sounding board. He's my right arm in this whole venture.
And same with my wife. So I relate to that in a huge way, like how critical it is to have, the support system, and a battle buddy is what I call it.
I like that, battle buddy.
Yeah. Somebody who has my back no matter what, and all of that stuff. What's it like, like with your kids and things like that? Has it been kind of cool to see? Because I feel like, I don't know, it's been interesting to see kind of your venture into business ownership in the entrepreneurial world after being a mother, and all these great things that you've done from a family perspective, which I love, because it's a good reminder to everybody that, first of all, it's never too late. We have there's and I see this youthful energy from you right now, but I'm just kind of curious, like what are your kids thinking? I see Colton working at the merchandise booths and things like that, but what's the is everyone like, we knew that mom would be doing this at some point, or are they surprised? What's kind of the impression?
I doubt they're surprised. I've been the same type of person as a mother as I am a businesswoman, just very controlling, I guess, and with all that comes with being a controlling personality, but that's the drive in me that gets things organized and makes things happen.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what motivates you? Are you motivated by money? Are you motivated by fame, success? What when, the end of a season, you're looking back and you're like, that was successful. Why?
In the 5 love languages. Are you familiar with those?
Moderately.
I am words of affirmation.
Okay.
I love to hear good job, or that was fun, or I love words of affirmation. That's my motivator.
So I'd imagine then it's super fulfilling when you're at the end of the show and you're watching everybody walk out and you're hearing everyone say how fun that was.
Yeah. Having you invite me on this show just thrills me, that somebody's interested in what I'm doing. Somebody has noticed what I'm doing. Somebody thinks what I'm doing is noteworthy. Stroke me. That's awesome.
Isn't it the best?
Honestly.
I share that. I got a text from Mike Zimes, one of my clients, just recently, and he's like, loving the episode with Al Harper. And I was like, first of all, can't believe you even listen. Second of all, thanks for the great feedback, because it's just, I don't know, sometimes we live in a world where I think bad news is loud and good news isn't as loud. And so I think sometimes when we get those reassurances or those words of affirmation, they carry some more weight, because people are, like we say around here all the time, that our happy clients are our quiet clients, like generally speaking. So I'd have to imagine
that's true
for you that the problems are loud. The good stuff, when it is expressed, means it was really good.
Right.
Really made an
impact.
Agree.
And I love it when I can turn what might have become an issue into a positive. And that happens often. And again, I point it to, it's just listening to someone, hearing them out, kind of mirroring what they've just said so they know they've heard, that you've heard them, and then coming to some kind of a median place where we can agree to disagree, or we can pivot and change this or do that a little bit differently to accommodate your frustrations. And I'm not afraid to figure that out. I'm not a black and white lady. I'm super gray. Sometimes that's hard.
Yeah.
But I am super gray, and I take a long time to make a decision. And I agonize sometimes over decisions. But once I've made them, I'm pretty solid.
Where does that, because I'm learning already these layers to Pam with, like, I didn't know you're involved in, the business improvement district or leadership La Plata, or, you have a degree in economics, all of these things. It seems like there's a long track record or resume, for lack of a better term, of these business experience, leadership type skills. Has anything kind of stood out as the significant learning blocks for you, or has it all kind of been, it all has added up over time? And because my reason for that question is you have an incredible amount of intentionality behind the way you do things that I did not realize. I've assumed, but it's becoming clear that, there's a lot of experience here to that's turned into who I'm talking to today. I just would love to know more about where some of this business acumen has come from.
Well, personal and business for me is a blend. So I'm going to give you the one pivotal moment in my life. I was probably 30 years old, sitting on the porch swing in western Kansas with my uncle, who's a very hardworking farmer, Leroy Weiss. And I was lamenting and feeling sorry for myself. My life wasn't what I thought it should be, thought I wanted it to be. And he just looked at me and he said, Pam, you going to let life happen, or are you going to make life happen? Ooh. That was my aha moment. You ever heard that term, an aha moment, And I mean, it just stopped me. I don't know why I had never thought about it like that.
What a powerful question to
Life
ask.
was just happening, and Pam was bumbling along, And when he said that to me, and then the next day we went out and we made happen what I wanted to happen. He helped me. He was like, let's go. Let's figure this out. And we figured it out. And ever since that day, nobody's really been able to stop me make my life happen.
I love that. Are you going to let life happen, or are you going to make life happen?
And I'll say that to anybody who will listen nowadays. When people are struggling, that's very important to think about.
So did that, and I totally understand, it's an interesting thing to think about, because there's a lot of those powerful statements or questions, that float around. Like, people will share an Instagram reel, or, text a quote to somebody, or listen to this podcast and hear that, right? But it doesn't resonate, I think, a lot of the time with people. Like, I find that a lot. Like, one of the things that I am working on is I have a love for people. I have a passion for people. You and I share that.
I think so.
And I want everyone to be happy and, all these things. So I'm always trying to, help others and encourage people and motivate or whatever. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is, I think it's one thing to say something. It's one thing to hear something. It's a whole nother thing for it to actually impact your life. So in that moment, did that impact your life because of the following actions, and that you saw that making life happen could be possible? Or was it because you were in a vulnerable moment? Like, why did that resonate so much?
It empowered me to make my life happen. And so what I did is I went back after we spent that next day together kind of putting in place what needed to be put in place. I went back to my home and I started, it's all relationships. I started reaching out to people, and it was actually within the Chamber of Commerce. I bleed Chamber of Commerce. I really do. And I've always been involved since I could be involved in a Chamber of Commerce. And I made those connections with people, and I found a man who was, I lived in a metropolitan area, and I wanted a horse. And I found a man who had 10 acres, and he was struggling to mow it all the time. And I said, well, I want to get a horse. I live in the city. I don't have anywhere to keep it. And he said, why don't we do this? Why don't you graze this land? I don't have to mow it anymore.
Win-win.
Win-win. I had to fence it. I had to put a lot of labor into it. But I scored, and my life changed.
Wow. I love that. That's going to be a takeaway for me is, letting life happen or making it happen, because I can see, and I think it's some of the personality traits that you and I have in common, but sort of this passion for life.
And it's relationship building. It really is, because I don't have all the answers. I never have. I never will. Because life changes. This world is changing. Yeah. So I certainly don't understand what's coming, but I know people who do know things, and that's where relationship building. And never having one enemy is one too many.
Right.
So especially in a small town where we live. But just having good relationships and always having an open door when people need something, and when you need something you can ask. That's invaluable.
And I think approaching it as a win-win, for example, the horse, you didn't look at it of like, I want a horse, how can I get a horse? It was more of like, how can this be a win-win?
Yeah.
Like there's an opportunity for my horse to help you, which I think is an important caveat to kind of like how those relationships and the win-win and like how we approach all of that there's a way for us to have the things out of life we want while also helping others.
Absolutely. You should always be helping. It should be a win-win. And sometimes if it all goes my way at one point, I'll say, hey, you're holding the card and I can't wait till you get to play that card and ask me for the favor back.
Yeah.
If it doesn't all happen at the same time, just know that it will happen.
Right. I love hearing that from you. It's refreshing. I think that the world needs more of that. I think so many times, especially in business, people think that it needs to be cutthroat or competitive.
I don't want to win if that's the way we're playing.
I agree.
I don't even want to play if that's the way we're playing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
No.
More of that abundance mindset. There's plenty for...
You got to be able to sleep at night, Ben, right? With a clear head and a warm heart, you got to be able to sleep at night.
Yeah, love that. When it comes to, those things of like the impact that you're making on the community and the audience and those things like that, what are you hoping, people are taking away from, whether it's True Western Roundup or, your sponsors and the interactions with you, those things like that? What's kind of your hope that, the people take away from it all?
Gosh, I just want people to enjoy themselves, have a good time. I want them to know who supports us. And so I always encourage them to support those businesses. Those are like-minded businesses, good businesses. When I go to events, I look at the program booklet and I see what businesses are supporting that particular program, and that's where I make my buying decisions. So I just hope that we're all elevating each other at the end of the day.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
What's been the hardest part about it? Looking back, 2021, I think. What's surprised you the most? What's been the most challenging?
Maybe I don't look at it like that.
That's great.
I'm struggling. I mean, honestly, I love what I do. I have a good team. We come to solutions, and I'll have to think about that.
Yeah. Well, no, that's a wonderful, I think that speaks to your optimism, kind of your perspective on life, that it's all just been part of the journey.
I don't want to seem like I don't have issues or problems, because we do, but I don't, what's the word? I don't worry about them or linger in them. I just figure out solutions.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
There was a time that I think it was this last year. There was a big production for the PBR Bullfighting Championships, which for anybody listening, it is like the event of the summer. It was so much fun. We had, I think it was a sold out crowd, the VIP tables, loud music. There was the instant replay screen. It was a production. But I ran into you before it, and I think I encouraged you to take a deep breath and realize that you had done it and stuff, and you got a little bit emotional, which made a huge impact on me. My question is, in those moments, you're looking around and there's 3,000 people there. I don't know how many people, but there's thousands of people at the fairgrounds, and all the sponsors have all the tables, and people are networking, and people are dancing and music. I want to hear how Pam feels in those moments. Are you able to slow down and enjoy those? Are you in work mode?
I am so in work mode.
Yeah.
It's a blur. I'm listening to the announcer. I'm listening to the conversation right here. I'm watching who's doing what over there. Don't talk to me when I'm at an event.
Rocking and rolling.
Because I'm multitasking. Every sensory on my body is in full mode. And sometimes I go home and think, I didn't even enjoy that, but everybody else did, and that's what's important.
I can tell that you're enjoying it, though, generally.
Well, that's true. I do.
When does that happen?
I enjoy putting it all together.
You enjoy the process?
I do. I actually do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, because you're not feeling like there's not a part of it that you're like, oh, I'm dreading this, or I mean, I'm sure there is, but
I
generally
dread
speaking,
lugging all those bags of ice in every week. Oh my word, that's the work.
yeah. But you're truly enjoying the process.
Yeah, no, I do. I
Yeah.
do. I love what I do. I really do. And I love my team. And I just keep saying that because it's so critical that I know I can trust that the ladies in the ticket booth are greeting everybody with a smile. I know they are. I know these ladies. I'm watching them. You know, I am. I'm watching everything. And they do a fantastic job from the moment you're greeted until the moment you leave. And when you leave our event, the royalty are there, the bullfighters are there. Some of the athletes come and join my husband and I, and we wish everyone safe drive home. Good night. Thanks for coming. It was great to see you. You know, and so you are greeted. You are when you come and when you leave, and you're entertained in the middle. And that's what we work so hard at.
One of the things I'm interested about too, because it seems like you always kind of have big ideas. I don't know. You're always.
I love those big creative ideas.
Yeah. What's next? What are your goals with your business, with True Western Roundup, other business? I mean, I would love to hear kind of like what's Pam's dream right now?
Well, we are a Western event production company. So I want to do more than rodeos. I want to showcase different facets and different sides of our Western heritage. Rodeo is key, and it's a neat one that a lot of people come down to town to see. But I love when I get to do a variety show, which is a throwback to the Bill Cody Wild West shows back in the 1800s. I love to showcase. What I love about that particular event, we've done it twice, and we're going to do it again in 2026. And I'll tell you about that in just a minute. Don't let me forget.
Okay.
But what I love about that variety show is I try to make it history unfolding in the arena. Live history lesson, especially for our youth.
Yeah.
Even some adults that maybe skipped history class. But, you know, we showcase, here's the Pony Express. Why? What is the Pony Express? When was it? Why was it? You know, the marshals and the lawmen and the shenanigans of the saloon gals. You know, I love having the Bayfield Bells come into the arena. Anytime they show up, oh, word, we have fun. You know, and the story behind them. I love when we can showcase mounted shooting. And that's, you know, archery. Some of those things that are part of American history. And we can unfold it as a living history lesson in the arena. I love that. So I don't know if you or your audience has heard of the 250, 150. Really?
I never have.
Okay, this is important. Listen in. So in 2026, the United States of America will be 250 years old. The state of Colorado will be 150 years old.
Yep, now I remember.
Okay, so there's a statewide committee that has been formed, and I'm sitting on that committee helping to plan events in 2026 to celebrate the history of our state of Colorado. And so I will be producing a huge, beautiful variety show August 7th, 2026. It's a Wednesday night. I'm already working on it.
How cool.
We are, what is this, 2024? So we're 2 years away from this event. I'm already planning for it.
How cool.
Yeah.
See, and that speaks to this passion that I'm talking about. And that's kind of where I'm curious. Like the committee, for example, how in the world do you find yourself on the 250, 150 committee? Where, you know, are you seeking these things out? Are they coming to you?
A little bit of both. I'm involved in the community. Yeah, I want to be a good community partner. I want to be a good player in my community. I want to play well with others in the sandbox, so to speak. And that includes the city of Durango, La Plata County. That includes, you know, everybody here. The Business Improvement District, the Chamber of Commerce. These are all really important groups that are important to my success. And Visit Durango is another one. They support us. I support them.
Yeah.
When you play well with others, all boats rise.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we want to showcase to our locals and our tourists in 2026, where did the state of Colorado come from, and how and why and when was it formed? And so that's what I'm working on.
Will that one be specific to the state of Colorado history?
I'm going to tweak it that way. It'll have to be a little bit of American history in it.
Just
with it
out of necessity.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah.
What else? What's next? What else are you know, you dreaming of, or what's kind of the growth, or do you want the business to grow? I mean, what's kind of your goal from that perspective?
I want the business to stay controllable by me. I don't want it to get out of control. So, you know, but I work really hard to provide something for the tourist, but yet something a little different so the local isn't bored every week.
Right.
Something different. So this year, our big event, so we're going to have a rodeo every Wednesday, May 29th through August 7th. But our big event is the July 4th weekend. And that comes from the city and the county coming to me and saying, can you help us provide some entertainment for all the tourists that are going to be in town? And so, yes, we're going to have a PAFRA rodeo on Wednesday, July 3rd. PAFRA is Professional Armed Services.
Oh, cool.
So current and retired armed forces of all branches of service are going to come and compete in a traditional rodeo on Wednesday night.
Oh, wow.
So then we'll roll into Friday, July 5th, and we're going to have professional bull riding event in the arena with the VIP tables set up. We'll have a band, the Josh Roy Band. They were here last year. They were so good. Everyone loved them, and I heard too many good things. Bring them back. So we're bringing them back. So they'll play, and we'll have a little dancing in the dirt after that event. Then on Saturday, we'll come back, and we'll do a ultimate bullfighting. If you haven't seen that,
it's worth seeing. I'll just tell everyone it is worth seeing. It's a shameless plug. You need to be the bullfighting. It is remarkable.
It's adrenaline, isn't
it?
Yes. So bullfighting. So let me explain that to people who maybe don't know.
Yeah.
The bullfighters who protect the bull riders during a rodeo, the guys that are distracting the bull when the rider gets off, those are the bullfighters. So those bullfighters on Saturday night will be competing in how acrobatic their jumps are, how close they get to the bull. They'll be dancing and moving and jumping and flipping.
Some of them will get hit.
Some of them might get hit. They're padded up. You know, we're very careful with our athletes, and we want them to be safe, but they're padded up, but still they're aggressive.
Yeah.
And they're getting in there because they want to earn the points. And so they'll do these spread eagle jumps, they'll do somersaults over the top of these bulls, and they'll get scored on how dangerous and aggressive their moves are. And so it's kind of like dancing with a bull a little bit. Of course, they lose points if they get driven into the dirt by the bull. But it's exciting. It's quite an athletic sport, and it's up and coming, and it's something to see.
It's my favorite event of every year.
Yeah.
I love it.
Absolutely.
How fun. Yeah. How do you have the energy for all this? I mean, that's a marathon right there. Though that weekend is going to be.
It's going to be a big weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just park our camper at the fairgrounds.
Literally.
Yeah, we will.
Literally, just stay in.
We'll have to. We'll be right there. Set up, take down. Set up, take down. Yeah.
But you're having fun while you're at it.
But again, I go back to you've got good people surrounding you. You're going to be okay.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious because that passion is so. It's just so obvious. It's so and it's
I hope I never lose it.
Yeah,
I do. I
kind
don't
of
want to ever do something that I don't want to do.
How's it staying? How are you keeping it fresh, or is it just staying exciting? You're not having to force it.
What's fresh is the different twists on the events that I can do to get my creativity going. Like the variety show, I sit there and spend hours Googling this, that, the other, and I write the script for that event. It's really fun. I learn a lot as I go along. Tell you what. So that's what keeps me
How
excited.
did you find the passion? Like, because I think, people listening, I think probably are, it's easy to envy. I mean, the passion that you have is amazing. Did you try different things and figure out what you're passionate about? Did you develop a passion for it? How... what was your journey into realizing that this is what you love?
That's a really good question, Ben. I guess it's just watching others succeed and helping elevate others to be successful.
That's where the passion comes?
Keeping people employed is important. It's just like, I don't want to go through life alone. I want to go through it with people, and I want to be happy about it.
So is the passion then about those things or about rodeo? Because it seems like maybe that was a little bit surprising in a good way that, for your answer of helping people succeed and keeping people employed.
Well, when I say succeed, I don't mean just my staff. I guess I said that, but also these athletes who are competing.
Okay.
And this is what they're doing, as a living. And so I want to help them. I want to give them an avenue. We didn't have a lot of options for rodeo athletes on the Western Slope. And so a couple of years ago, we also stepped up and became sanctioned by 9 different professional groups, one of them being Colorado Pro Rodeo Association. That's been a good thing for our Western Slope athletes to have. They don't have to drive to the Front Range to compete.
Right.
At the cost of fuel these days, let's give them a place here that they can compete at. So I feel like I'm missing some big light of your question, so I'm struggling to come up with the right answer, but
I guess
that's my answer.
To frame it a different way, did you find something you're passionate about and lean into it? Or did you develop a passion for it through the process?
You know what? I just got my answer. I found the people that I want to surround myself with.
That's the passion, is the people.
I found my people, my tribe, and that's the Western culture, and that's people who are farming and ranching and raising their kids in this lifestyle like I did.
Yeah.
My friends, my neighbors, my family. And you know what? I fit here. Yeah.
Love that. And it's easy to be passionate about things that we fit in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And I guess I want to share that. So when you talk about the variety of people that come to our events, I just want to share that with them.
Mm-hmm.
And like, look, isn't this neat? Isn't this fun? How can you not love this and want to know more?
Yeah.
You know?
I love it. And I think the world needs more passionate people. That's why I'm so interested about that, about where the passion comes from. Because there's so many people that crave passion, that are going through the motions, punching the clock, whatever it might be. And I have passion. And there's something about it that, like, it makes the hard times easier. It makes the late nights. I mean, I've had many nights pulling out of your your parking lot at 10 p.m., but I was just standing on the back of a bull chute, and I'm like, this is great. I don't even feel tired. In fact, though, it's funny because those are the nights I get home and I should be tired, but I'm charged up and I'm excited. But I think that boils down to passion. And one of the things I'm curious to explore is how to help others find their passion.
Yeah, that's key. It really is. And we all find it at a different place and time in life. And we all have our own moments. But I'm so happy that I've found what I'm passionate about and I'm able to make a living doing what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
I never set out. This wasn't the plan. Like I said, I was bumbling along. I was not one of those blessed as a senior in high school that knew what I wanted to do the rest of my life. I was not that person.
I wonder if it's related to that idea of making life happen as opposed to letting it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when I'm reflecting on the things I'm passionate about, they're the things that require that I'm like forcing into existence.
Yeah.
Whether it's running or raising my kids or building my business or whatever it might be, I'm passionate about it because it's making my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that idea of like,
it's fulfilling.
Yeah. Letting life happen to you versus making it happen.
Right.
I wonder if the two are related.
There's always a little bit of both, but that was a big moment in my life.
Yeah.
And I've been all about making my life happen ever since.
And then that
very
by nature
intentional
brings
on
passion.
who I surround myself with, very intentional on who I promote in our arena. I'm very intentional on everything I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
love
I'm
it.
sincere and I'm genuine. And if you don't pick up on that, I don't know, because I don't I don't lie and
You
I
can
don't
feel
tell
it
you to
through
do
the
something that
you
I
can
don't
feel it through
believe.
the camera.
Yeah, seriously.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Pam, thank you so much for being who you are. Thank you for the passion that you bring to your business, the rodeos, but also to the passion that you bring to your community. And I want to share that, how important that is, that, when you talk about, doing business with the people that sponsor you and lifting each other up and seeing everyone succeed, I see it firsthand. And I want to thank you for that, because the world needs more people with that perspective of, bringing the passion, bringing the love, elevating everyone, making life happen as opposed to letting it happen. And so I have a tradition here.
Okay.
Where I give, because the whole concept of this show is conversations with people that inspire me. And you inspire me by your example. So I want you to have an Inspired by Example shirt.
I love it.
Because simply living the life you're living is inspirational, and we need more of it. It's refreshing. It's a gulp of fresh air. So thanks for bringing the passion, and thanks for being who you are.
Hey, thanks, Ben. I appreciate you too. You know, you're one of those people that I choose to surround myself with. So thank you.
I appreciate it, Pam.
Right here, buddy.